So I realized that the Necro uses spell boost very efficiently, and I'll show you what I mean. So what I'm gonna do is not use spell boost. I'm gonna put on very weak equipment to show you the difference. So we have a heal staff, a chainmail, evil dragon wings, and heavy boots, right? So we're gonna cast and summon a skeleton. Now the skeleton attacks this jelly. Sorry about that. So as it attacks this jelly, you can see my skeleton does 20 damage, 7 damage, 20 damage. It's kind of ridiculous, right? And it's like, what the heck? So once I change these things around, it's actually very different. So first thing I'm gonna do is spell boost. Second thing I'm gonna do is switch my equipment, do a summon, do a leech. Now what's very interesting that I found out, you see the skeleton's doing 1,000 now instead of barely any damage. So it's really reflected upon my magic attack. Now what's weird is that once the skeleton is summoned, I can change everything back to like really crappy gear, and he's still attacking at that damage because I summoned him at that damage. So that's very interesting, because the minute you summon, then you can switch things around, is what I'm saying. So let me show you one more time. And let me change this as well. Alright, so we're gonna put on some really high damage right now. We have to unsummon him, and then we're gonna resummon him. Now the Skelly is doing 1,378 damage. And this is because magic attack was raised, but you can see my spell boost is gone. Now if I resummon without spell boost, he's only doing 675, 900. So what that says is every time you summon something, you're gonna have to use spell boost, because if you don't, it's a waste. Now how do you fix that? Well, you can't really fix it in the fact that you're gonna have to use spell boost before you summon. But what you can do is keep the summon that you have alive. So you do that by using Blood Wine. Now, Blood Wine is very interesting too, because I've told you guys before, the higher the HP, the higher I can heal and share life with him. So if I have high HP, I share more. If I have low HP, I share less. And let me show you that too. So if you look, this is another thing that I want to tell you that was interesting, that this is 5,000 something being shared with him, because that's how much HP I have. $5,000. $5,000. So let's unsummon him. And Blood Wine. 6,804. So what I'm trying to show you as well is that the summon was affected by all the stats that you used when you first summoned them. So after you summoned it and you try to change equipment and stuff, you're still healing and doing all those things to the skeleton at the same rate as if you first summoned it. So in another sense, before you summon the monster, you have to think about, well, how much life do I want to have and how much magic attack do I want to have, because those two determine how much you heal the skeleton, and it'll also determine how much the skeleton attacks. So another tip for making these Necromancers that I found really useful was that if you start an aggro and it's chasing you and it's not attacking the skelly, that you should unsummon and resummon to cause the aggro. Immediately the aggro goes into the summoned unit. But the difference between that is that you can actually use the different summons. So the skeleton, this skeleton hits harder, but is very weak in, I guess, armor, and so he gets beat up and he dies and stuff. This skeleton, Bone Knight, on the other hand, has a lot of armor but doesn't attack very high in damage. So it takes forever to kill. But the main difference between the two skeletons is that this one will fully aggro. The other one is 50% aggro. So the hate is what I'm saying, gets split between you and the summoned monster. So if you summon a skeleton, 50% of the hate is still at you. If you summon the Bone Knight, I believe 100% of the hate is towards him. So let's say an example would be you're running, they're chasing you, and you just need to get the aggro off of you. You would want to use a Bone Knight summon to take the aggro off of you, and then after the aggro is off of you, you can resummon the skeleton. And in that way, you can do more damage and still have the monster aggro at your summon and not at you. It's a safer route to go at it. So far I've been finding out that, you know, the Necro can use both a rod and a throwing. It's really up to you which one you prefer to use because they both have their different benefits. Yeah, so when you're talking about the max HP, I understand that it's part of the MP, but what I'm actually talking about with your max HP is how much you can heal per blood wine. So even though you're talking about how the max MP affects his max HP, your max HP affects how much you heal him. So if you have a skeleton fighting for you, right, and you're not using a Bone Knight, you want the skeleton to be healed in high amounts versus low amounts because the skeleton is so weak it constantly dies. So you would need to do the blood wine in large amounts to make sure that skeleton doesn't die. And the reason for that is if the skeleton dies, you will have to resummon, in which you have to spell boost first. Yeah, so that is the part that's annoying. So in a sense, it is easy to recast, but because you always have to do spell boost first to recast, it's not very efficient to always recast your summon. It's probably better to keep it alive. So for instance, if my max MP was much higher and his max HP was higher, then I wouldn't need to, you know, spend so much time trying to keep him alive. He would have higher HP to begin with. But that doesn't mean that when you do have to recast them, you know, it's either two options: recast or heal his life. And you know, you're gonna have to pick which is more convenient for you. I think that about wraps up what I figured out so far about the Necros. I don't know how it's intertwined exactly with all the attacks, but I do know that magic attack is extremely important to this job. So you will want to have magic attack very high, and so that your skeletons can do high damage. Now I'm still figuring out whether I want to slot this Tania Beret or I actually want to just use this E-Carlet. It's really hard to level here as a 195. Yeah, so if anyone's available, can help me out, that would be great. I do need some leveling. I know it's gonna take a very long time to get to 200. I don't expect, you know, you guys to stick through the whole, you know, 195 to 200, but any help would be appreciated. I'm trying to rush to get to that Dark Javelin. I wish I had more time during the 1000 XP event, but I did not. Yeah, they're both just as expensive. It looks like I may have found a party. But you know what? It's sad because as a Necro job, I realized what happens is that so many times I just get invited and I get kicked because they don't like the fact that I'm still low level. But you know, whatever works, as long as I get these levels, I really need to get to 200. I just regret so much that I didn't, you know, do just, you know, another hour or 2 hours worth of leveling within that 1000 XP, because I would be done by now if I did. I wouldn't have spent so much time doing these 5 or 10 levels. I was stuck at like 180 something. And then the game kicked me out because the 1000 XP was over and they needed to do maintenance. And it's like the worst part was I paid for level service too, so it was quite annoying. It seems like we have a missing party member, which is a bishop. We do have 2 bishops here. I'm just kind of glad that they're okay with this weak MP healer right here, because usually they wouldn't even party MP healers here. The only people that do is like a samurai or ninjas. So I've also been playing around with cemetery, and to me it seems like it's pretty useless. I mean, it does help against certain AoEs, but as for grinding, it's really not that helpful. Especially the fact that you have to recast cemetery every like 30 seconds and you can't step away from it. So those factors make cemetery kind of weak. I hear that cemetery can do damage. I don't know how yet. Something about combining with 2 different skills, cemetery can do damage, but I haven't seen that as of right now, so I can't say that, you know, that's gonna work out. But so far, my impressions of cemetery is that I do not like it. It is pretty ineffective. I do wish that they would have, you know, higher level drain for this Necro, because we should really be having like drain level 3, 4, 5 or whatnot. Drain level 2 is a bit weak. I don't drain enough to survive. Okay, I see. So it damages the enemy when it walks in, but the question is how much does it damage, because it seems like it's still very, very weak. Yeah, exactly. I think cemetery is really a combined skill. It's not really for a standalone, because as of a standalone, it's really just a defensive skill that's not very useful. It needs to be more offensive. If I was fighting like a boss and I was farming someone, you know, like that one boss that stuns all the time or whatnot, something like that, then useful maybe, you know, being in the cemetery. But other than that, grinding and all that so far, it is not very useful. I do not like it at all. It doesn't protect me from anything, because in reality what's really protecting me is my summon, and I don't, the monster, if it's really attacking me, it is up into the cemetery, and that's true, but I'll end up dead anyway, so I don't see the point in that. Once I get aggroed, you know, it's like high chances of me dying. Let's try our unrare fortune and see how good everything is. I believe we're on an event where we get 5 stars for everything, so I think this is the time to start using your unrare fortunes. And the reason why I say that is because 3 days in a row I already got 5 stars. So they cut the 1,000, but they gave you 5 stars. And so playing around with the different summons, I actually prefer the skeleton over the Bone Knight. Which new spec are you talking about? What's the name of the new spec? Yeah, I did make a Necro. I'm trying to get this Necro 200. It's a pain in the ass. The 1000 XP event's over. Hey, what's up? How you doing, RCO? I ran out of time. I couldn't do it the last minute. Now, if you're talking about Spell King Ring slot, that must be worth a lot, like insane amounts. But if you're talking about no slot, it's only a few million. It's not very high. It's really up to you whether you want to get a Tellus or a Universe, because I think Tellus will have an upgrade, and Universe will not have an upgrade anytime soon. But the difference is that give me 1 second, we all died. I know, I want the Phantom and I want the Dark Javelin. I can't get either. That's part of the problem. Well, like I was telling you, Tellus may have an upgrade, and the real difference that I'll explain to you between the two equipment is that Tellus is not actually for Tellus is not actually for Zero Ray. Tellus is more for Imperial Ray 2. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but Imperial Ray 2 is coming out, and so you're gonna need those elements to be higher than the stock magic attack. That's why Tellus is really good. But Universe, however, gives you more magic attack with lesser elemental magic. So if you're gonna concentrate on Zero Ray damage, you may not want to use Tellus. You may want to use Universe instead. But if you're gonna be, focused on Imperial Ray 2, you're gonna want Tellus 2 and Tellus instead. So, like, long story short, if you're fighting an element specifically and you're not using Zero Ray, you're gonna want Tellus. But if you're fighting anything and you do want Zero Ray and element doesn't really matter, you're gonna want to use Universe. Well, we're a network, that's what we're here for. Sometimes it's me answering a question, sometimes it's someone else answering a question. We're all here just hanging out and stuff. And as you hang out, you hear some interesting stuff. Sometimes it's not so interesting. Whatever it may be, you pick up on whatever's. Regarding this Necro, I do kind of like it, but I'm not strong enough to figure out its full ability, so I really want to get to that 200 and figure out what this Necro is capable of. No, that's not possible. If you guys look carefully, you'll know why. I don't want to say it on live and get someone in trouble, but that's not possible. He's not gonna switch to the next person. It's okay. I really needed help earlier, but this guy's gonna do it. He's just having some issues with DC. The reason why I tell you that is look at this, look at what Raxel's doing. He only EQs. So in reality, he's not really there, guys. But I understand it. I'm sure you guys understand it. Whatever gets me to 200, I don't care. I figured the throwing type might really be fun. If it turns out that AGI is the better stat, I might just go AGI too. But this is what I do. I test, so I'm bound to go through different equipments, different builds and stuff to figure out which type of build I want to do. Usually I am magic focused though, but the throwing does have magic, so that's why I don't hate it. But it's just the Japanese get to test everything out first because they get the release of all the latest stuff. So from them we can see what we kind of want. No, I didn't. What is a Necro wand? I've been hearing, I mean, that's not the first time I heard about it, but I really don't know what it is. I hate production. You guys don't understand, I hate production so much. The only way that I could get that is to actually find someone who will make it for me, which is a friend, you know, which I do have some friends that are in production, but I don't like asking them to make because it's so hard, and I understand how annoying production is to make something. Wow, that's a good one. And I say it's a good one because that last part right there where it says for a Necromancer, it gives max HP, max MP plus 30%. Now that I played the Necro in this manner, I love that 30% HP MP because it's vital to the Necromancer. It's necessary to do all that healing and all that summoning. You know, so the stats are great, you know, magic attack 10% and dark magic and stuff, but to tack on that additional MP HP max is excellent. It makes that wand super. And I don't think any other wand really has anything like that. Yeah, so your summon would be buff as heck, you know, using a Necro wand. I think in that manner, I think the Necro has two forms of types. One type is dependent on the summon to kill stuff, and the other type is dependent on the summon to block stuff while you kill stuff. And I think the most important thing is to figure out which type you want to be. Do you want to be the killer, or do you want the summon to be the killer? And in my case, I want the summon to be the killer because that's the whole reason why I built the Necro. I wanted to stand back and not do much so that my summons can kill stuff for me. And so if that's the case, I may actually have to choose the Necro wand over the throwing because I do not want to be the one swinging. I just want to stand there and wait, and then summon kill stuff and I get XP. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm thinking that if the new skill gets damaged from AGI, it's really because you want to be the one hurting things, and you want to use the summon to tank. But my problem with that is that I can't do that, and I can't do that because I need the summon to kill for me, and I don't want to be the one who tanks it. But with that AGI, you can actually evade a lot of it. So if it's in the case where you can evade with AGI and you can hit them and hurt them, then that's not bad either. But in my opinion is, well, if you're gonna be the one that does the damage, right, and you're just using the summon to tank, I mean, there's a lot of other, you know, tank damagers out there. For instance, the SK Ninja, Samurai, or whatnot. Then why go Necro? Yeah, so that's the skill that I have heard, that the summon actually, you actually become the summon, or the summon actually becomes you. So if you wanted to, later on, you would be the Phantom or the Bone Knight or whatever the case may be. But that's still so new, we haven't gotten too much information on that. So I can't fill you in on whether, you know, how that will affect the build later on. But as of right now, it is not that useful. I'm imagining that the AGI build may actually be for you. Because you think about it, if you're the one attacking, then you're gonna aggro. And if you're gonna aggro, the main monster will come and attack you. So you're gonna need some sort of agility or whatnot. Hey, he's back. He's back. You're gonna need some sort of agility or whatnot. So that's why you would want to build like that. With possession, I'm not quite sure how that's gonna work altogether. It might be really great when you're in possession and they miss because of the agility. Well, it's kind of weird because we have a skill that says that if we attack, so it's kind of like they encourage you to auto attack. Yeah, exactly. The magic, it decreases with throw. And I think they did that so that they could balance it out, and you have to figure out whether you are an magic attack type or whether you're a full magic attack type. It seems like they want me to go to 2, so we're gonna go to 2. I could ask him, but I don't know what he'll say, so we'll try right now. Yeah, that's what we're all trying to figure out. You know, we're all discussing this together so we can have a better idea of how we should do that. Because we don't know exactly how the stats should be distributed. My theory is actually invite decks, because that's standard build for magic. And I see it all working for the Necromancer. But the problem is when it comes in is the AGI. AGI or not. I don't think you need crit, but you might need the AGI. Or you might need to cap your lines. I don't recommend putting in 100% experience. I recommend you putting it into your lines. So like either your blue line, green line, those are important if you want to max those things. Yeah, exactly. How the skills complement each other affects the way that we build. And once we figure out the later skills, like possession and how it affects everything, we will have a much better understanding of how to build the stats. What I learned about What I learned about Dark Javelin was that skill delay does not affect your time. They were talking about that in another discussion, where it does not affect your time because I guess they're gonna relate Dark Javelin to something else. So when you Dark Javelin something, there's gonna be another kind of effect to it when linked with another skill. So they are not doing skill delay. Now, it may be a bug, it may not be. I'm not sure which one it is, but you know, those are the two going theories right now as to and I'm on S2 now because they asked me to come to S2. So if it works like that, then that means there will usually be a skill connected to that will make it a reason why it works like that, and most likely it's because it will do high damage or something in that effect. Now cast time, I haven't tested that, but you can simply put on some NS items with fast cast speed and see if you're actually casting faster. I don't know if it affects that, but you can try. If you try it, then you can share it with everybody, and then we'll know whether cast speed affects it or not. But I'm stuck at 195. I can't get to the point where I could get that skill to test for you guys. So until I get there, I can only give you a theory. And so I got kicked. Thank you for trying. I don't think it does. If it did, then we wouldn't be encountering the problem. We wouldn't be encountering the problem where you guys are complaining about the skill delay. I mean, if skill delay helps, then you know, obviously we just drop it to almost zero. And then in that case, it wouldn't even be a problem. And so I still got some levels. That's at least great. I think I got like 5 or 6 more hours to go. I don't want to be leveling any